292, Drake.
Cool. Welcome back, Washington Walk-Ons fans, episode 292 of the podcast. And this is a cool episode today. You don't just have to listen to us. We actually get to learn a good bit about a guy that we don't know that much about on a personal level. He got to the program just after we left and is so good that he's already out of there. 3 years in the program, in and out as quick as you can get there. One of the most versatile players that we've seen play on Phil's defense in a while, and that's saying something because Phil just continues to turn over playmaker after playmaker. Unfortunately, we don't have Kevin on this one. Doesn't feel right to be talking to a hybrid DB linebacker without Kevin. But Dane, welcome to the podcast, man, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you, man, because I've been a big fan.
Oh, I appreciate that, and definitely enjoy having the opportunity to be on here, and look forward to it.
The man was early, Drake. The man, he came correct. He, something that Kevin never does. He's a little closer to that Phil Parker, get your ass in the meeting room. He's still got that in the back of his head, man. Dane, thanks for joining. As Drake said,
How cool was playing for Phil?
Yeah,
man, it was cool for sure, because you see, like, being recruited, you see his resume, and like you said, the people he just coaches and turns out, and it's like, man, like on that level, it's like, it's Coach Parker. But then once you start playing for him, it's like you start to realize, why he's doing that, and it's like, why not me? So it's definitely a good feeling, once you get into that role where you're playing and learning from him, it's unbeatable.
He has that reputation. When you were in high school, you see guys like, I'm sure you looked it up, right? How much did you know about Iowa before they came into the recruiting process?
See, I know a little bit. So my dad lived in Iowa for a little bit, and
really,
so he was born in Nebraska, lived in Iowa for a little bit. So every once in a while, I'd watch Iowa games, just fundamentally sound, good football, and just me being a football fan, I'm watching any game that I'm seeing on TV. So occasionally, you come across an Iowa game, but outside of that, it wasn't too big. And once they came into the recruiting process, every school that offered me, I was just doing my research, trying to find the best spot for me. And that's when I really started to learn, the intricacies and the ins and outs of Iowa football as a whole. And that's what I really fell in love with.
Was that exciting?
Were you watching Amani Hooker play when you were thinking about making your decision? Because he basically came in, played the exact same position that you did in a very similar way, got in and out in 3 years, and is now almost playing at a Pro Bowl level. Like he might be playing at a Pro Bowl level, just not getting the recognition. You know what I'm saying?
So I never actually watched him, because Iowa was actually one of the last schools to offer me, and it was in May at the end of my junior year. So after that, I took my official in June, and that's when I committed. So I never actually, like, after they offered me and while I was talking to them, they never like played a season. So I never got to watch them like to influence me on my decision. But after I committed, I came up for the Wisconsin game, and obviously I watched every game on TV. And it was just like talking to Coach Parker, he give you that, that option. Like, he's like, I'm not going to tell you you're going to play, but you have a chance, if you work. I let the best people on the field, basically. And he's like, you could play both safeties, you could play this cast position that we just started, and you could play, a corner possibly. And so after I committed, I'm just watching Amani like, that could be me. And that's what any way I can get on the field, I'm gonna do it. And he, like you say, he's a playmaker, and for me to follow in that footsteps is crazy.
Was Phil the guy who recruited you directly?
So he wasn't my area recruiter. My area recruiter was actually Coach Foster, who's the running back coach at the Chargers now. He was my area recruiter, but they came down to my spring practice. It was Coach Foster and Coach Wallace and Coach Parker. And at first it was Foster. Then he called Wallace and Parker, and they came. So it was all three of them.
They brought the squad.
They brought the squad. It was crazy. It was a whole bunch of coaches at that practice too, and it was just I had to show out.
Did you have a good day?
Oh yeah, I had like 4 picks. It was I had to eat.
Your quarterback had no chance, bro.
For real.
That's funny. So late in the process, Iowa comes in. Who were you like? What was the move before that? Like what schools?
So I really wasn't I was still open until honestly when I took my official to Iowa. So I was banking on taking probably all 5, and so I ended up with 26 total, doing offers. But before that, I took official to Pitt. I liked them. I was talking to Minnesota, Georgia Tech, for the school aspect, and they were close to home. A couple other schools, but on the only requirement my parents had was they had to be in the top 100 academic school. That was the only thing. They say you can go wherever you want, but that's our requirement. So
Wow.
there were other schools that were good football schools that didn't quite meet that requirement. So, but I had a good choice to pick from.
I would say so, Drake. How many? This is kind of the theme of our podcast. If you get the name, Dane. Between Drake and I, we had maybe 3 unofficial scholarship offers, no legit paper offers. So you got us blown out of the water, man. What's oh, excuse me. What sold you on the Hawks? Like you take that, you said you committed at your official visit?
Yes, sir. I committed on the last
What was
day.
the sell? Was it Phil or what,
It was, man, it was more than just one thing. And, like we were talking about Coach Parker, that he was a huge thing in that, just the coaching stability as a whole, knowing that you're not going to have to learn a whole new scheme and, your head coach is going to be there. Who's going to be there your whole career. That was a huge thing. Also, being from Florida, I feel like we have the best athletes. So just getting out of Florida and, going somewhere, if I go to Florida, it's 100 people like me. And for me to, go up north, I felt like I had a good chance of, playing early and playing under a good coach as well. And just like I said, also I wanted to experience the world a little bit. Like I had never seen snow before going to college. So, that was something, I wanted to just branch out a little bit. The atmosphere around campus, I wanted to play in front of fans who actually care. There's a lot of schools that have fans or they barely have fans that show up to games, So, just all those things, went together and the official was great. And, on Sunday morning before leaving, I felt like this was the place I needed to be. So I made that decision.
I love that. You, what was, cause I know they walked you through Kinnick. They took you up in the press box and everything. What would that feel like?
It was crazy because like you said, after I got the offer and I was doing, my research and stuff and talking about the fans, I know they were crazy. And even though I didn't you couldn't see it in there, at the time I was there, you realize how big the stadium is and knowing the crazy fans, just the atmosphere you picture in your mind is I could definitely play for this. And just seeing, that, and I think they were fixing or they were doing stuff to one of the end zones at that time, I want to say. But even, just going through the locker room, they had the tunnel all set up, doing photo shoot and stuff, being with a lot of my teammates, on that visit, and just the atmosphere and environment with those guys too. It was just, I felt like this is the place I wanted to be.
Do you have any all-time favorite memories of Kinnick? Because we have some special memories that'll live with us forever just because of how hollowed those grounds are. We always talk about kind of there's true magic in that place sometimes. So I just want to know some of your favorite memories.
One of my favorite memories at my whole career was definitely 2020 season, COVID season, when we beat Wisconsin. And it's crazy because when I tell people that, they expect me to pick a memory where it's the crowd was impacting the game. And, you definitely have those games, obviously probably second would be Penn State or close first of this past year. But it was just something about the Wisconsin game, man. It just summed up, that team. And for us to start 0-2 and everyone's like, oh, they're not going to be good anymore. And just to knock out 6 straight and beat someone we hadn't beaten in 5 years and on our home field. And, crowd wasn't even involved. So it was real, nobody had an advantage in that sense. It was just, best against best. And it's just the way we came out and played that game, especially on the defensive side, we shut them down the whole game. And the offense, did their job as well. It was a total team win. And just the feeling in that locker room with the guys after just, ending the season. We didn't know it was the end of the season at the time, but ending the season on that note, it was like, man, that's what we play football for. And that was one of the most fun times I've had playing football for sure.
That shows how important that game is to every Hawk because like that's number one and there weren't even fans there. That's how important beating Wisconsin is to, a successful Iowa season.
Yeah, I understand that. You trophy game, obviously the bowl, right? When it comes to the trophy games, Dane, is that the top for you, or where's Iowa State and Nebraska and Minnesota rank?
So like you said, definitely trophy games are up there. And as far as like in those four, it's hard to say. Like haven't lost to Minnesota, so that was that's a dub.
Flex.
And then but
never lost to Iowa State.
Never lost to Iowa State. Never lost to Nebraska. So those games, they mean something to us, and you guys know, that intensity that whole week and the preparation, and it's just, it's always fun to go out there and with someone online. Every week you have someone online, but with that extra, incentive, the trophy game, and people take notice of those things, across the country as well. It's not just this fan base, people know. So those games are just crazy in general. I couldn't really like say a favorite one. There's all like intense games that go down to the wire most of the times, and it's fun football.
I love the answer. You talk really well, and some people think about football guys and they're like, oh, they're just dumb jocks. And admittedly, this is episode 292 of this podcast, Dane. So we've been doing this for a while now, and if you go back and listen to the first couple episodes, I think we fit that stereotype. The three of us are on here just like fumbling over our words. Part of being a Division I athlete, and maybe this was cultivated before you came to Iowa too, is dealing with media, stuff like this, right? Tuesday media, right? You come out of practice, we got a media list, whatever, after the game, get a pick, people want to talk to you. Is that something like you actively thought about and have tried to like get better at, and like, and because everybody's got a personal brand, right? And I've got plenty of questions about that as well, because you're one of the guys who fully took advantage of the NIL opportunities that started coming up. You're now going to be a professional athlete, which is all about, being a personal brand. So tell me about that. How do you go about that, thinking about that kind of stuff?
How elite was NIL, dude? Because we got to hear about it.
Yeah.
We need to know.
I guess. So, at first, to answer your first question, I never really like went about like trying to be better at media. I felt like you said, I felt like I've always spoke well. I feel like I answer questions, thoroughly, and I feel like it's always been like that. Maybe it's probably my upbringing and the way my parents taught, and emphasis on school and things like that. But it wasn't something that I was like, man, I feel like I had to fix this. But to NIL, like you said, everything's a brand. For us to get that opportunity to capitalize on that, one, it gives you a jump start, for the people who will go to the league, because that's all it is. And you just start to learn the ins and outs and things before you get to that point. So you're already knowledgeable and things like that. It's not brand new. And NIL was great. Anytime we can benefit on our own name, it's not like we're getting money from the university or getting money from this and that. It's it's what we built on ourselves. So for us to profit on the progression that we put in ourselves is just great. And the companies that we talk to and partner with are they're looking to not only benefit themselves but also partner with you and get your name out there too, possibly. So it was definitely a both partnership. Everybody benefited from those. And for the semester I had it, I felt like it was a great tool.
I know you took advantage. I saw you in the, what do we got, a Carlos O'Kelly's commercial with T Good and Keith. I know we had the what is it, the Great Dane merch. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got it all going on, man. Like you figured it out.
Yes, sir.
Man, it's so cool to see. It's so
Props
cool.
to you, because we were yelling it from the mountaintops that everybody should be able to make money on their successes. Like you put the work in, only you should be able to profit off of your successes. I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah. I think on the other hand, was there any sticking points in kind of managing that as a student athlete going to class? Was there any point where you're like, okay, maybe I'm focusing a little bit too much on my merchandise? Like, like did that any of that come up, or did you have a pretty solid sort of idea of how you wanted to go about it when it came into the rules?
Yeah, I feel like personally, I didn't have that much a problem. I felt like, when it got implemented in July 1st, that was when I was trying to hit the ground running. We had no class. We were just doing, workouts in the morning. So, I had time on my hands to, do those kind of things. And,
Right.
once it got to fall camp in the season, I told the people around me or, things like that, that where my focus was. And I was focused on the season, being my junior season, it's a big one, possibility of leaving early and things like that. So, I told him straight up, I'm focused on the season. And if I have extra time, I can let you know and we can do this or that. But, my main priority is on this and obviously school. So, throughout the season, I was able to do, things here and there in my free time or on our off day. But, I feel like, I had a good system where, I told him straight up what my focus was and I kept that. So, but, I can definitely see it being a distraction for some people, if you put your focus in the wrong things and you focus on making the money and this and that. But, I feel like if you prioritize what you need to, what's good, I feel like you'll be set.
For sure. For sure. Thinking back, Phil, Seth, oh Sethy boy, they come down to Tampa, right? Jesuit,
Yes, sir.
and they watch Dane Belton playing. I think Phil Parker was cooking something up all the way back then, right? Like Drake mentioned Amani. I think he knew. I think he knew that the cash was where you were going to live and succeed. And man, you did a lot of that. You did a lot of that, right? First team All Big Ten this year. Congrats, by the way.
Appreciate
I
that.
never did. And you mentioned this offseason, I guess almost a year ago now, you're going into your junior season. You understand that's a big season. You've gotten playing time early on, right? I think you got in as a freshman, right? You played 4 games or the whatever, or did you play the whole season?
I played eight games total. I think I
Right.
started 3-1.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean you had tons of experience already as a third year. Um was the and I guess this could go back all the way to like high school. Was getting to the final level, the boss level, right, of football, the NFL, was that always the goal? Was it always in the back of your mind?
Oh, definitely. Ever since I started watching football, I've always dreamt of playing, at the high level in the NFL. And, every step, it gets closer and it's like, this can be a reality. Like in high school, you have no offers like, I'm playing well, but like, I don't have any offers, blah, blah, blah. You get an offer and it's like, man, I have a chance of playing at the next level. And then, you get to the next level and then you start playing. It's like, man, I got a chance to go, beyond. And like you said, like coming in this year, I had 2 solid seasons, nothing to write home about, but I felt like I was making that progression each year. You could probably see it in my stats and things like that, in the way I was, flying around on the field each year, going better and better. And I just felt like, this year, if I had the year I think I could, that I have a possibility of leaving early and making that dream come true next year. So it was just, it was all, starting in the spring, and when we got there in January, last year, it was all about, getting to that goal. It didn't have to be this year. It wasn't like this is a make or break year, but
Right.
I felt like I was in a position where I can make plays and I can get to that point, if I have the opportunity. So it was just, it's focusing in on that. And, I'm here now and, I made that happen, and, I couldn't be, even more ecstatic about that.
What do you think was more important to your progression from year 1 to year 3? Was it physical progression, or was it the understanding of the defense and offense, what offense are trying to do to attack you? Like Jack kind of talked about, the longer he was on the field and in the first rotation studying film, he understood how offenses were trying to attack him and why you guys were doing what you were doing.
I think it's exactly what Jack talked about. I feel like there's a point in your career when you first get there, and obviously you do physical changes, you get stronger, faster, things like that. But I wouldn't say you plateau, but it's only so much you keep going up. But really, what a lot of I tell people all the time, the big difference between high school and college, and I assume it'd be the same way for college to pro, is like the mental aspect. And you can get away in high school with just being athletic, being more athletic than someone and overpowering them. But in college, it's all about the mental aspect. And just like you said, what Jack was talking about, it's exactly with that. once you know the defense, because, you know, we have a pretty, you know, sophisticated defense, you know, as far as like safeties and things like that, having to make checks. And well, once you get that down, you know, it's all about, you know, playing fast. And the way you play fast is just understanding you're not having to think too much. So when you learn, you know, the way offenses are attacking you, it just helps you play even better. And I feel like that was the, you know, the biggest jump, you know, from each year is, you know, I already know the defense now. So now it's time to study something else. You know, my freshman year, even though I played, I'm still like, you know, I got to get the defense down. But now it's like, I know this. So, you know, what's next? And I feel like, you know, doing so, you know, even, you know, studying on my own, and, you know, we also studied a lot together, just, you know, bouncing ideas off each other, or, you know, picking up things and discussing it. You know, I feel like that's what, you know, helped my jump and, you know, helped the whole group.
It's a good answer. This guy's ready for the combine interviews, Drake.
Coming up.
We talked about it. It's what, about 3 weeks away.
How geeked are you about the combine?
Yeah.
That's a dream come true.
Oh, definitely. And it's like, yeah, like you said, it's crazy because, like, I'll be in high school watching it, you know, during class on my iPad or something, you know, watching them run 40s, and like it's all quiet, you know, on TV. It's not like a football game, but it's just exciting because, you know,
Bro, that
just,
was 4 years ago. Literally just
Yeah.
4 years ago. That's what you were doing.
For sure. And it's exciting because you see people and they made it to a point where they can showcase their talents on the combine level. And that's like one of the biggest things, you know, in this pre-draft process. And for me to be able to, you know, get the opportunity to be invited to that is just, you know, it's crazy because, you know, you know how, like, you recognize, you know, the work you put in and things like that. But when other people recognize it and say, like, you know, you're in the top this and that, where, you know, teams want to see how you perform, you know, athletically, it's like, you know, you must have did something right. And it's only, you know, it's only up from here. You know, this is obviously isn't the end goal, and it's just a stepping stone, but it's definitely a blessing.
Man, that's awesome. You were, when everything in 2020 went down, and that summer, man, that's a turbulent time as a young guy in the program, right? And I feel like it would be impossible to not walk away from that, being a changed man, right? Or I guess let's call you a kid at that point. You're 18, 19 years old, right? But I'll respect you and call you a man, because if we went one-on-one, you'd crack me, bro. What did you take away from all that? You know, like it's obviously not something you sign up for. I don't think any program would ask to go through that, but you know more than anyone as a Division I athlete, when you get hit with adversity, and you really have two options, right? You either buck up and you adapt and you get through it and you grow, or you let it beat you down, right? And that's sort of a metaphor for life. But in this specific instance, like, how did Dane Belton come out of that whole situation bigger, better, smarter?
Yeah, like you said, you know, it was a crazy situation. You know, no one could have, you know, predicted it or things like that. But, you know, I felt like personally, you know, it made me, you know, as cliche as it sounds, you know, made me into who I am today. And, you know, being, you know, just finishing my freshman year, I was only there, you know, a semester, and, you know, or almost a year. You
Right.
know, I was there for a year. And it was just like, you know, I still felt young, but, you know, when that happened, it was like, you know, the team was looking for, you know, people to, you know, lead us, you know, things like that. It wasn't just the old guys, you know, it was just, you know, we need leaders. And, you know, for me, you know, they appointed me to the leadership council, you know, that year. And even being so young, you know, I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, this is people older than me, have more experience, that could probably do better than me. But, you know, they see me in this light, you know, even so young. And I just felt like, you know, it's time to grow up, and it's time to make change. And one thing I learned from that situation is that, you know, I've been put on a platform to, you know, promote change. And, you know, for me being blessed with the gifts I have, you know, to, you know, play at the next level in the NFL, you know, it's only, you know, you can do stuff for yourself, but it's even better when you have that platform to promote change, because you have eyes on you. You know, people are looking at you to, you know, learn something from you, or, you know, things like that, to better themselves just by watching you. And, you know, being in Iowa, you know, around that time, it was like, you know, that gave me a taste of that, just knowing that people, you know, were looking at me, you know, even being so young, looking at me for the next step, or how we're going to take this program and make it even better than it was. So that's really what I learned from that. And, you know, I couldn't say without that, you know, that really just made me who I am, for sure.
Yeah. What did man, I imagine being in the room with Coach Parker through all that too. Like he's the vet, right? He's kind of seen it all, and he, anybody that's played kind of understands that Coach Parker has this way with guys that he just gets the best out of them,
Mm-hmm.
And I see the smile on your face. Like, I know you know what I'm talking about. And, man, it's not just you, that whole room. I mean, we're talking about maybe a top 2, top 1 DB room in Iowa history, at least under KF, right? What was it like to play with guys like Jack and Riley, Hank, Kayvon? Like, this is a group of dogs now, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, just even mentioning those guys' names just bring, just like, man, we really, we had a good season. And
stacked.
Yeah, just playing with those guys, man. I can't lie, this was definitely the most fun I've had playing football in my life was this past season. And it was more than just football. It was a thing. Like, people talk about relationships you build, with your teammates and you call them brothers and things like that. But I genuinely felt like we, as a group, we had like a connection, even with the linebackers, the D line. It was just like we could just sit there in a room and not talk about football one time and we just have a good time. It was just like the bonds we had in that sense. And it's like when you get on the field and you play next to someone that you like enjoy being around, it's like, man, like this is what it's about. And just playing around those guys and just, making plays, it's like we want to celebrate each other. We had that internal competition of like who's gonna make the next play, who's gonna get the pick, blah, blah, blah. But we wanted to celebrate each other. And it was just so fun, the plays we made and the memories we had this season, it was just great.
So with that being said, how hard was it to leave? Because you guys could have been absolutely stacked next year on defense.
For sure. It was definitely hard, and it was definitely a huge personal decision. So many things went into it, even more so than the recruiting process with all those factors. It was just so many, pros and cons to each thing. And, even if I were to stay, like even Hank leaving, even if we all came back and Hank left, it's just like, man, like Hank was like my big bro. Like I got there, he was already been there 3 years and, he was instrumental in, teaching me the defense and things like that. So, but, and Jack leaving too. And it was just like, at the end of the day, you got to make a decision for yourself and, what's better for you and your career and future. And, I feel like I did that. But like you said, it was definitely a tough decision, knowing that, I could come back and play with my brothers again. And even the young guys and things like that, just the times we have, outside the facility, like I had mentioned in my statement when I, declared just like the memories we built and things like that. It's hard to say goodbye to that, but I felt like, for me, I feel like those will always be there. Those guys aren't just Iowa friends, those are life friends, and that, they're going to be there, when we're like 40 and 50 and we're just going to hang out, someone might have to fly somewhere and we'll just kick it, things like that. But, at the end of the day, I feel like I made the best decision and, I'm definitely, obviously keep in contact with those guys.
You're playing college football with the goal of going to the NFL. And so college is effectively your resume and that's your job interview. And you had a successful job interview in 3 years. Go ahead and get your money, man. Like that's congratulations. That's what you go there to do. You go to college to get a job. You just got one of the most coveted jobs that the world's ever had. So well done.
And we're hoping you get drafted because on this podcast, that would at least make it 1 for 3 because we whiffed on that one. Was it ever close? Like Lindy was the last one to announce and it kind of felt like, at least from the outside perspective, and like, oh man, it must be like a really tough decision for Tyler. Like he might be flip-flopping. Was there a night where you laid in bed and you were like, shit, maybe I'll come back. And then you wake up in the morning and you're like, nah, I'm going to go. Like, was there any of that or were you felt pretty good? And as you started to lean towards the NFL?
It was exactly that. And I couldn't describe to you like how back and forth it was. And it was like towards the middle to the end of the season, it really started to pick up, a lot. And it was just like, I would say like every other day I'm going back and forth. And I started like, all right, like I stopped talking, I'll talk to my parents about it and I'm like, all right, I'm focused on, finish the season strong and we'll talk about it after the season. And after the season came And it was just that week, before I made my announcement where literally I was back and forth every day. I was talking to my parents, probably 3 hours a day, just like going over, pros and cons and this and that of any decision I could make in this situation. And it was just so stressful, man. And it was crazy because
No, I feel for you. I feel for you
Yeah.
because I mean, not that we were there, but like I understand how bad I still would want to go back and play. Like I'll be the janitor at the complex. I swear to God. And as long as I can play, I'll do that. I'll do the laundry with Greg, right? Like let me do anything for another season. And I don't even have the opportunity to go to the NFL. So yeah, I get it, man. I get it. That's tough. And I feel for you because and I bet your parents too, man. They're just like, oh, that's such a tough spot to be in. Because you mentioned you graduated, right?
Not from college.
You didn't graduate. Okay, so you're gonna come back and get the kinesiology degree at some point, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that what is kinesiology the?
I actually switched majors from
did you
business
switch it?
major now. Yes, sir.
Oh.
I was set to graduate in December,
Okay.
so I have about a little under 40 credits left.
Easy. You're not gonna need the degree, but your parents, like you said, they wanted you to choose a place with the top 100 education. Like they clearly valued that from the start, and like to watch their little Dane grow up, and it's like, oh man,
Turned into a Great Dane. Quick.
Great Dane's got a big old bag sitting in front of him. Hard to turn that one down. Man, it's exciting to be in that position though. I'm sure.
Definitely. And I, on the degree thing, I promised my parents already that I'm gonna finish my degree. So
you're gonna come back and get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back in the off season and finish my credits and things like that. But
you might even be able to get it online, man.
Yeah, that's why I talked to my advisor.
Online from anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. We mentioned the combine. Obviously, you're on Eastern time right now. Are we back in Tampa?
Yes, sir.
Back home, baby.
Yes,
training,
sir.
getting that body ready. What are you looking like right now on paper? What do we weigh?
About 203.
Bodied up.
Yes, sir.
Ready to take some heads off, right?
Oh yeah, for
sure. What did you play at? Is that what you played at?
I kind of fluctuated a little bit. So, I would say my freshman year, I was pretty light, about 190.
Right.
Sophomore year, I got up to like 200 around. Junior year, I started at like 205. And then towards the end, I kind of dipped down to around 200. It was like the flu going around. I got sick for a little bit. And so I would say I was around 200 at the end. But, it's really, around there, that 200 to 204 was, pretty consensus on my last year.
Yeah.
Did you ever play with Brady Ross?
I did my freshman year.
All right. Brady Ross, his second year, he used to fluctuate, and some of his third year, he used to fluctuate between about 245 and 265. He would play some Saturdays at 265, and he would make weight on Monday.
That's crazy. I can see him doing that though. Just the one year I was with him, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's great. Like that dude's crazy. Like he's just he's another level. They were keeping that body weight up. I feel like 200 is always that number for like the safety, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you're like Jack Kerner, he's probably like 215 or something. You got Ray in there. I don't even know that Cody running around telling you to get a shake in you, get a bottle. They still on you about that?
Oh yeah, that would be eternal for sure. But those guys, man, I love those guys, man. Just coming in at 6 a.m., they definitely made it worth it. Coming in that early, and those are my guys for sure since freshman year. So
how'd you feel about those early workouts? Was that a little bit of a shock from high school to college, or what would you think? Especially when it's cold out, man.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a shock because like in high school you practice right after school. Most people do, and I feel like it wasn't that bad. After I got acclimated in the summer of my freshman year when you got those 6 a.m.s and obviously after a while you get towards the end of the season like, man, I gotta wake up at 5 every morning. But I feel like once you get up, like once you stand out of bed, I'm fine. That's how I've always been. Like I'm a deep sleeper. If I stay in my bed, it's not gonna be good. But once I get out, I'm good. So. But those lifts are good. Having all the, the starters are, the two deep in that first lifting together and, getting hyped for practice, knowing, the mental preparation and things like that. Those are definitely, part of the college experience for us. And, I wouldn't, take it back.
You got to find a way to bring the juice, huh?
For sure.
Yeah. Do you have any workouts over the 3 years that you remember specifically? Like, damn, I don't know if I'm gonna make this. This is my favorite question for everybody. Or did you handle the training pretty well?
I would say there wasn't a workout where I felt like I wasn't gonna, make
so
it.
You're one of those guys. All right. I
It
get
was, it was funny because like coming in my freshman year, it was, the last day of summer where we got you got a huge lift, you got the skills and drills, and then you got the 4 quarters.
Oof.
And everyone's like, oh man, like blah, blah, blah. But me, I just came from Florida. So like I'm used to the heat. Everyone was like, it's so hot. And I'm running well. And I felt like that was just the image of, that's the image of, the rest of the 3 years. I felt like I handled each workout well. It wasn't a time where I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna do this. But so I felt like I was good on each workout. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, I'm happy for you, bro. Because that was
going back to one of our favorite things in Iowa football. Who was your favorite caterers and training table meals? Because I miss training tables so badly.
Grace, Miss Kim, and
Hey, let's go, Pete and Kim! Shout out.
Yeah, that was my people for sure. I hope they gonna see this, but they know they're my people.
Oh, they will 100% see this.
That's my people.
I'll post a clip. Yeah, man, they feed you good. You never go hungry if Pete and Kim show up to the building.
For sure. And with me, I have a lot of food allergies, so they would bring every day, every time they came, they would bring me something on the side.
No shit.
Sometimes it'd be like a 20-ounce steak, and it's crazy. Like they'll understand when they see this. They know they got me right. They used to bring me like dairy-free ice cream on Sundays after the win, and they definitely looked out for the kids.
Legends.
For sure.
We love those people so much. We're still in touch with them. We're trying to do business with them on a charity golf tournament and have them cater it. Like we're still with Grays. We rock with them that heavily. So fucking right, Pete and Kim. We love you guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
Food allergies, man. You got a sensitive tummy?
I guess so.
That's
always been like that.
Damn. Okay. That's important.
Don't mess with sensitive tummy people, bro. We will come for you. We will fuck you up, Kluver.
Dude, come on now. Goopy. So Dane, that's important. Nutrition's like way important, right? Especially as you get into this new, like, hey, you're a pro athlete. And I assume that's how you wake up and think about yourself right now, because that's the mode you're in, right?
Yes, sir.
Nutrition, as you learned at Iowa, like you got to have that shit in check. So now that you're in the pro mode, I know a lot of these guys go off to like Exos and they're getting like this custom nutrition shakes and they got this custom diet and all this stuff. How are you approaching that? How are you approaching the training? How's the training going as we get closer to the combine and then eventually the draft?
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, the diet, is everything for a pro athlete. It's what fuels your body. So, for me, it's always been, I'm not a picky eater on what I can't eat. So like, any type of vegetables, things like that, I love vegetables, I eat. So growing up, I always ate particularly well. I wasn't like I didn't eat a whole bunch of junk food. I rarely eat candy even now. I don't drink soda. And I feel like it's always been like that. And then right now, so we have a diet plan. I'm getting 3 meals a day for 6 days out the week. And it's all like clean food, things like that. And it's definitely, getting my body right. And it's foods I'm accustomed to eating. So it's not a huge change on that. And that makes it just, that much easier. And as far as training, it's a lot different than, training, at Iowa. This is like specific. And it's crazy because, they tell us on the first day, it's like, all you've done to get yourself to this point, is playing football. But right now we're going to train you. And what the things we're doing is not, football, running a 40, the technique is not playing football, things like that. But, it's definitely a change. You get a little change in training that you've been accustomed to and you learn and change in that sense. And you just, keep growing, and it's only going to add tools to your belt, and I feel like this combine coming up in pro day, is a big evaluator for teams. And if I can, perform well, it's going to make and improve my stock that much more. So like you said, I'm definitely taking the mindset, as a professional.
Yep.
I even felt like I took that, my last year in college, like everything you're doing, is going to get you closer or further away from your goal.
Mhm.
And, in believing that, that's, what professionals do. I'm prioritizing what I need to. And, right now that's, this training and preparing for the combine. And, we'll take that when the time comes.
I love it. You, as you step away now from Iowa football, the Hawks, what will you take with you most? Could be anything, right? Anything you learned or as you grew, we talked about growing through sort of your career. What do you think is some of the biggest things you've taken away from your 3 years in Iowa City?
I would say the biggest thing I've taken away is that you can never stop improving. And I felt like, a lot of people, that you feel like you get to that level. Like I would say a lot of outsiders are like, fans, oh, he's in the NFL, he made it. But when I feel like the fixed mindset is what kills, successful people. And, for me, it's always like, what's next in that sense. And, when you never stop improving, you could be already a Hall of Famer like Tom Brady was, and he came to Tampa, a whole new challenge, and had one of his best statistical seasons in his last, ever season. And it's just always that next step, like you can always do better. And I feel like that's what I took away, at Iowa. You might have a great game, but it's always like, I mean, you watch film with Coach Sparky, and he's gonna tell you like the plays you messed up. Like he's for sure gonna get into you.
You're gonna realize you didn't have a great game.
Exactly. You're gonna see that like percentage sheet is like, oh man, I can do way better. So it's just that sense, like, I've never arrived. And that's, I would say that's the biggest thing I've taken away.
Some days you walk in and see the percentage sheet and you're like, yo, somebody gave me the wrong paper. Like, I know this ain't my sheet.
Definitely.
Swear to God, better than this. That's awesome. The man, I think that's honestly all the questions I got that come to mind. Drake,
That's been a hell of a conversation, man.
Yeah, bro.
We don't want to take up all his time.
We gotta this man's gotta sleep. It's 7:41 over there in Florida right now. Brady did bring the championship back to Tampa though. How cool would it be if you got a chance to play for the hometown squad?
Oh man, that would be everything. That's like what you dream of, like coming home and playing for the team you love. And I kind of think of like
right down the street.
Oh yeah, like my high school is literally like you probably know it's like right down.
We practiced at Jesuit. I'm almost positive.
That is where
you have a weight room that's right next to your field.
Yep, it has the windows that looks the field.
Yep. That we practiced at Jesuit in 2013.
Yep. Yeah, every year one team from the Outback Bowl practices at my high school. So just being that close and having the family around and playing for the hometown team, that would be crazy. Just it's what you dream of for sure.
What do you this is like the true, I'm now like a draft scout for the Packers, right? What do you think you do well, right? What do you think you take into the next level that kind of sets you apart? And then on the other side of that, what do you think you can really improve on?
Mm-hmm. I would say what I do well is obviously my versatility, being able to play those multiple positions and, still making plays at both, and, just I would say matching routes, in zone coverage. I feel like I could play, deep safety. I could play that hook. I can run, play man to man sometimes, and just like I said, that versatility. What I bring to the table. I feel like that's my best asset and what I do well. And I would say, what I can do better on. I don't want to sound too cliche, but it's really true. Like everything. Obviously, I'm not the number one overall pick. There's so many things I can get better on. Like I said earlier, you never stop improving. Like even the things that I do well on, like I said earlier, my versatility, the way I match routes, the way I run and things like that, those can obviously pick up because it's going to be a whole new level. And it's really, it's just about that. When I get to a team and start learning that defense, it's all about improving each asset that I have. And it's like when you're playing a video game, you have a micro player. You even if you like already run like like a 98 speed, you can always move it to a 99. You can always work on that. It's even like your best things, that's the things that you still want to, make even better because that's what's going to put you at the top of the league. So, I just say going forward, that's what I look to do.
I love it.
Keep that mindset. And you're going to be extremely successful, my man.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you coming on, man. And We can't wait to watch. Every year it's so sick to watch guys go to the combine, ball out, get drafted, and now we got
and then we have more guys to cheer for in the NFL, man. And golly, it's so fun to have friends of the podcast that just are successful in the NFL. So we wish you nothing but the best, man.
I greatly appreciate that.
When you make it big, you got to come back on and we talk a little bit about your career in the league too.
Definitely, let's do it.
Cool. Well, you guys heard it here first. That's D Belt right there, number 4.
Great name.
By the way,
that's such a sick nickname, dude.
Yeah, it
and
is.
The fact that the 4 is an A, that is unreal.
That was solid.
I didn't want to fanboy, but for the last 3 years, I've told people that you're my favorite player on the team.
I appreciate that.
It is a little sad because now I have to choose a new favorite player on the Hawks, but that's all right. That's all right.
You got a good group to pick from for sure.
Well, that's no doubt there. No doubt. What are we thinking about the Hawks next year? They're looking pretty spicy, right?
They're going to be solid. Defense.
They're going to be solid.
A team.
And the offensive line is getting older and more experienced.
Exactly. I think, and even the skill positions on the offense, the young receivers we had, Keegan and AB, the truth.
They're real. Yeah. They're real, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, love to hear that. Love to hear that. All right, Dane, we'll let you go. That was episode 292 of the Washed Up Walk-Ons. Thank you guys all for listening. We hope you enjoyed Dane Belton. This episode was sponsored by DRF Sports, as always. We hope you enjoyed it and come back for the next one. Dane, thanks again. We'll talk to everybody next time. Peace.
Appreciate it.